Mycroft, what about Professor Dewar?
Why did Cain kill his brother?
Yes, I know he's Professor Abel's colleague. I meant, where is Dewar now? Is he in danger?
No, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Where was the boy? The man who made it did not want it. The man who bought it did not use it. The man who used it did not know it. What's it? The 9th prime.
Enough of riddles, Mycroft. Speak plainly.
So very difficult to find really decent fish and chips.
I apologize, brother. I was frustrated. I've got the pieces now. Professor Dewar, I am Sherlock Holmes. Mycroft is my brother.
I perceive a resemblance. What do you want?
Dr. Watson and I hope that you might help us with an inquiry.
I've heard of you, sir. We can talk while I work. I'm in the middle of something rather delicate, so you might choose your spot carefully.
Mycroft has been injured in an explosion, Professor.
Nothing to do with my work, is it?
His club blew up. The police claim it was an accident, but we believe a bomb was purposefully set, that Mycroft was the target, and that the act was related to the theft of your formula.
Your hypothesis is based on sound data?
It is. And had he been as concerned for his own safety as he was for yours, we might not be speaking. Can the cause of an explosion be easily determined from its consequences?
Rarely, but with application and the proper research tools, one can often discover the cause from the type of fire, the nature of the physical damage, and the organic consequences.
Dr. Watson discovered some fulminate of mercury, but we exhausted the supply in our experiments.
If the explosion was initiated by a bomb, there is likely to be more evidence of the fact, a timing or detonation device, chemical burns, or some such.
Professor, could you analyze this spring? I have reason to believe that...
Enough, Mr. Holmes. I see what it is. You suspect it has material importance to the detonation of your bomb. Don't bias the inquiry further. I must form my own conclusions.
Excellent. Very sound practice.
How can I reach you?
Send a note to 221B Baker Street when you have the results. Do you recognize this document, Professor? It was in the stove.
No. Deuced strange storage place, but it's safer than most. I never light a fire. Mycroft must have put it there. Put it back, won't you? That won't do, Mr. Holmes. Put it back, please. It'll save me a lot of work.
Is that a copy of your formula, Professor? It appears to have your mark on it.
If it does, it's mine.
Professor, what is the subject of your formula?
While Abel and I were working with the ballistite, that's Nobel's latest, we refined an extraordinarily powerful explosive. It's more versatile and less volatile than nitroglycerine. The strategic implications were obvious.
So you registered the components in compliance with the Foreign Office's Byzantine requirements?
I've made some further modifications that will affect bomb design and detonation velocity, but by and large the formula stands as written.
Could you replicate the formula from memory?
Though with great difficulty, perhaps. The formula describes a complex and unique mixture of chemical compounds.
Presumably, the acquisition and manufacture of such materials would exceed the means and expertise of all but a handful of state agencies.
I take your point. No one could build a bomb in the basement with it. Mycroft wasn't felled by my work.
Do you have a copy of the formula?
Oh, Mycroft said something about keeping a copy, but I'm afraid I couldn't lay my hands on it at the moment.
No offence, Professor, but I've rarely whiffed such a rank odour.
No offence taken. One man's perfume is another's offal. The smells do have their uses. I believe the neighbours think I'm experimenting with new mixtures of fertiliser.
Contrary to the old saw, ignorance is never bliss, but it may serve a purpose.
How may I help you, gentlemen?
I am always available at 221B Baker Street. I am Sherlock Holmes. Might I have a word with Lord Lawton, please?
Might I say, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Holmes, and Dr. Watson, I presume. I'll see if his lordship is at home.
The house has rather gone to seed.
Is it unseemly to wonder at the causes of its decline?
On the contrary, it would be unnatural not to. The details could be quite delicious. The decline appears to have been precipitous.
There may have been tragedy or financial misadventure. It would be indecent to speculate.
Rubbish. Few human activities are so banal as to be undeserving of healthy curiosity. Reversal of fortune is by definition interesting.
Do you require constant supervision, Mr. Holmes?
Sorry, just curious.
Lord Lawton regrets that he is not at home. You may leave your card if you wish.
You've been having a good run at the table?
Decent. I'm playing defensively. Left his lordship without much to shoot at. He'd never win a game if I knew the diamond system.
Please inform Lord Lawton that this is not a social call. We have critical business to discuss with him.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. That may make a difference to him. No, my lord, I will not. Do you require constant supervision, Mr. Holmes?
Sorry, just curious.
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, my lad.
My position requires further reflection. Billiards is fascinating, don't you think? At my brother's request, I am looking into the disappearance of the formula from the ministry.
And as a courtesy to your brother, I interrupt my leisure to receive you, but you abuse civility. The committee eventually judged that so-called disappearance to be unworthy of our attention, evidently not dissuaded by our good sense. You come here to waste my time.
I could understand it after investigation and due deliberation you had concluded that nothing untoward had occurred. But such was not the case. Why was the inquiry so precipitously and inconclusively terminated?
I won't be cross-questioned by you, Mr. Holmes, on this or any other subject.
Are you aware that Mycroft has been injured in an explosion?
I'm sorry, but that's hardly my affair.
I think an attempt was made on his life. The blast was related to the disappearance of the formula.
It's the nature of your business to think so, isn't it? Conspiracy theories are mother's milk to the consulting detective.
Are you purposely offensive or merely obdurate?
It is not my intention to be either. But if I am, it does not concern me. You have no position, no standing, and no authority.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Mrs. Mason. Is Mr. Pratt available?
No, he's not, and more's the pity. Out entirely too often. Probably carousing with undesirables. Mr. Mason always said, and he knew.
Our business is rather urgent, madam. When will he return?
For all he confides in me, I might be the char.
Have you had any recent word of Pratt, Mrs. Mason?
Not a syllable. No doubt he's idling somewhere in the devil's grasp, abusing mind and body with strong drink and who knows what else.
May I leave my card with you?
I'm not his personal secretary, Mr. Holmes.
Nor did I presume it. Perhaps you could send a note to 221B Baker Street when he returns.
I suppose I might. I'll tell him you were here.
I would be grateful for your trouble. May I have a word with Mr. Silverbridge?
Without prejudice to your religious affiliation, Mr. Holmes, might he have your Christian name?
Holmes will suffice.
If you say so, sir. Please wait here.
You're...
What is the problem, Hepplethwaite? Won't he see us?
As it happens, Mr. Silverbridge is indisposed and cannot be disturbed.
You gave him my name?
I did, and he does not know you. Mycroft Holmes, yes, but you, sir, he neither knows nor wishes to include in his acquaintance at present. I'll show you to the door.
I can be reached at 221B Baker Street. Please tell him that I am available at his earliest convenience. Come in, Mrs. Hudson. It's from the yard, Watson. Listen. A body pulled from the Thames at the Needle is not the usual type. Conventional identification impossible. Ticket stubs from the Whitehall line suggest a civil servant. As you aren't currently engaged, you might find it diverting. I would welcome your assistance. Respectfully, G. Lestrade.
Very civil of him. He wants your help.
Well, we won't throw it away. Keep it for a rainy day, but I have other fish to fry. Let us resume our investigation, Watson.
I'm prepared to follow you anywhere, Holmes.
Lestrade's missive suggests a problem of identification. Is it real or apparent?
Very real. Extremely difficult case from his point of view.
What can you tell me about this victim's cause of death?
The formal cause was a massive cerebral hemorrhage. The efficient cause were bullets of a large caliber fired from point-blank range.
Drowning and suicide can be dismissed then. I've been experimenting with ballistics. You have the bullets?
Useless fragments. I disposed of them. The large pieces must have passed through the cavernous exit wound.
Might I examine the body?
I know your methods, Mr. Holmes. Observation is your watchword.
Its corollary is that without knowledge, observation and deductions are worth nothing. Currently, I have very little knowledge. I hope to amend the deficiency. Could I see the victim's effects?
You know where I keep them, and it's only the clothes. He came in without shoes, and his pockets were empty.
Indeed. Most peculiar. Most interesting. I'll sign for the hat, Doctor. I'd like to take it with me. Which is more bother, Lestrade being in or being out?
It's a fair question. Seems I'm the only one round here working all hours. Go in if you like.
I need details of the corpse you hauled from the Thames, Lestrade.
Middle-aged, on the thin side of average, shot in the head, cavernous hole, dead before he hit the water.
The crime was witnessed?
No. A riverman may have heard the shots. He found the body by the needle. He'll collect £50 for the corpse. Claims to know nothing about how it got there.
You believe him?
These river taps are a dodgy lot. You'll volunteer anything that turns a profit and nothing that won't. But I don't think he did the murder.
Where can I find this worthy?
The body's at Bart's, not a pretty sight. His face is gone. Can't even tell what colour his eyes were. The rest of him's all right. Hadn't been in the water long.
I was referring to the riverman.
Ah! Needham's his name. Constable on the scene took all the particulars. He's at the Needle. You remember P.C. Roach?
I've been trying to forget him for years. You can read, can't you, Roach? Lestrade has requested my assistance.
No need to be snide, Mr. Holmes. I'm just following orders.
Following orders, the last refuge of the immoral and the inept.
What's that?
Constable, it's Sherlock Holmes. I'd like to survey the scene.
There's a murder inquiry hereabouts. You know Inspector Lestrade don't tolerate intruders at our investigations.
Your predilections notwithstanding, I will examine the scene, Constable.
I don't like interference, Mr. Holmes. I'll be keeping an eye on you. Might try to make me look bad.
That wouldn't be difficult, but I have better things to do. I'm sure Lestrade would be stupefied if you've discovered anything of interest.
I applied my eagle eye to the area. There's nothing here.
Better light might reveal more, and the skills of the investigator are not unimportant.
Precisely why I'm on the case. Best man for the job. I know a crime when I see it.
Very sly. but I doubt your vigilance will be rewarded.
Who's to say? I'll be pushing off soon for my tea.
What can you tell me about the crime, Constable?
Why Lestrade needs you is beyond me. Seems like you're always begging information from us.
As you haven't solved the case, perhaps you might humour the inspector and simply answer the question?
The victim was shot at close range by an unknown assailant. Probably happened nearby and recently. The body ended up in the river. A wherryman fished it out. That's it.
Where might I find the wherryman?
Body's name is Needham. Jesse Needham. Lives off the Aldgate High Street. 6 Half Moon Passage. If you're planning a visit, consider a firearm. The inspector always takes a pistol east of Bishopsgate.